Hello everyone. Thank you very much to the MS Society for giving me the chance to speak to you all today about nutrition as it relates to MS. So basically, you can kind of see from the title of my presentation here that this isn't solely geared towards patients with MS. A lot of the type of lifestyle recommendations that we'll be talking about in today's session actually are geared towards your average person as well. There's a lot of similarities between a healthy lifestyle for your average person as well as those suffering with various sorts of inflammatory conditions. Just to introduce myself, my name is Michael Ney. I am a physician specializing in both gastroenterology and hepatology, having done my training between the University of Alberta, University of Calgary, and King's College Hospital in London, UK. And I'm looking forward to getting into the meat of the presentation here with you guys. So just to start off with a little bit of humor here, I wish this was more of a joke than it actually is. As I do see some patients in my clinic that are pretty much coming to me with these sort of statements, but hopefully this isn't too much of a problem for you guys. So before we get into the talk, I just want to give you a sense of where we're headed here. We're going to discuss about obesity and how that relates to multiple sclerosis, an anti-inflammatory diet, does it exist, the microbiome and MS, a really popular topic over the last few years, both for MS as well as many other disease states. Is there an ideal MS diet? And finally, a little bonus slide for everyone. So, to quote Hippocrates, our food should be our medicine and our medicine should be our food. I think that's a really poignant quote from many centuries ago, and I think it applies a lot today. Obviously we still need to take medicine sometimes, but I think we could prevent a lot of medicines if people led a bit of a healthier lifestyle, which is much focused on what we put in our body. So starting with obesity here, obesity is an inflammatory state that's known across disease conditions or just for those that are obese without any underlying disease. And obviously in an inflammatory condition like MS, you're trying to avoid inflammation, so obesity is not going to be ideal. Specifically for MS, obesity has been associated with increased inflammatory markers in the cerebrospinal fluid, which cushions the brain and is very important for the homeostasis of the brain and protection of the brain, and has been associated as well with increased MS disease activity. There's also some research to point that obesity actually may play a role in MS development, so in putting individuals at an increased risk for developing MS if they are in fact obese. And so we define obesity as a patient that has a BMI of 25 or greater. I'm not going to go super into detail about that, but basically a healthy BMI is between 18.5 and 24.9, and that's what you should be aiming for. So, is there an anti-inflammatory diet? That's a tough question. I'll give you guys the answer here. Probably. I know hedging my bets there, but I don't think we really have enough research to tell us this is the exact anti-inflammatory diet, this is the exact pro-inflammatory diet. We definitely know the difference between a healthy and an unhealthy diet, in which we'll talk about more today. And there's no perfect diet, so we'll talk about some of the specific MS diets today. And again, none of them is the perfect diet, and there will be differences between each of these diets, and it can make things a bit confusing for people. That's why we'll try to make it a bit more simplistic in terms of what to try to avoid and what to take on a more general basis. So this is a complicated looking slide, I understand, and the point of this picture is not for you guys to understand the nitty-gritty of this, but just to understand how complex of an issue the microbiome is, as well as its pertinence to multiple sclerosis. It's shown pertinence in a lot of different disease states, as well as kind of healthy individuals. And specifically for MS, there's a lot of interesting features as well, which have become discovered more and more over the last number of years. Generally speaking, the gut microbiome is impacted in a person by their genetics, their sex, are they male or female, what they take in their diet, which is what we're going to focus on, the use of drugs, antibiotics, whether they smoke, other sorts of lifestyle things like exercise, the environment that they live in, what is their age, do they have diseases like multiple sclerosis or other sorts of things, and even what climate do they live in. So it's very complicated and not easy to kind of pin down exactly what someone's microbiome is going to look like because of all these different factors. And so what does it actually do? All these bugs in your gut are helping to regulate your immune system, which is super important in multiple sclerosis. The movement of the gut, vitamin production, including things like B12, vitamin K, and other B vitamins. Metabolism is impacted by the microbiome, hormones, and the list goes on and on. And importantly as well, the inflammatory cascade in the body is also somewhat regulated by the gut microbiome. And the important thing to remember with the gut and the brain is that it's a two-way street. And this is the type of thing I'm telling my patients a lot in clinic, is that they both impact each other. So we have to kind of take care of both, not just one or the other. And you guys may have heard of the gut-brain axis, which is kind of talking about that. So then people will ask, well, what about probiotics? Should I be taking a probiotic then to help my gut health? And unfortunately, at this time, it's unclear if there's any real benefit in taking a probiotic just empirically for your gut health. And specifically in MS, it's not well known at this time whether a probiotic or which probiotic, because there's many different options, is the right one to take. As well, fecal microbial transplant, fecal microbial transplant is basically a stool or poop transplant. Those are interesting, but basically there's ongoing trials in MS, and it's not clear whether these are beneficial again. So overall, very complicated topic, but important to try to do what we can to try to maintain the health of our gut bugs. So you're gonna always hear, and my wife always hears in my house about fiber. So I'm like a crazy fiber person, always trying to take more fiber in my diet and encouraging people that I care about to do the same, and I encourage all my patients to do the same. So easy ways to increase the fiber in your diet, supplements like Metamucil, those soluble fibers, psyllium husk is kind of the same sort of thing. Very natural, very healthy. You want to take a large component of your diet being plant-based. Vegetables, very, very important. You can see a picture there of chia seeds, which I particularly enjoy as part of my diet. Very important to take lots of fiber. So then what is the right diet in MS? That's really not easy to say. There's been some really interesting kind of anecdotal studies, some case reports, things like that. And the point of this talk is not to kind of go into a huge amount of detail about these specific diets or to explain the difference between types of clinical trials, but just suffice it to say that it's not easy to do a randomized clinical trial on diet, and that's why there are not really good studies as it pertains to diet for many different disease states, including MS. So I don't think you can kind of look at any of these diet recommendations as dogmatic, but more just kind of look to kind of take things as you see them from these diets and kind of use what works best for you, largely, in a healthy way. So the Mediterranean diet is probably the most highly recommended by neurologists in terms of patients with MS. There's kind of the most data for the Mediterranean diet across disease states. There's also the WALS protocol, which is a specific diet for MS, which you'll be cutting out a lot of grains and dairy, taking lots of green leafy vegetables and meats and fishes. the swank diet, which is really focusing a lot on trying to eliminate certain fats from the diet, the paleo diet, which is kind of focusing on eating in a way like our paleo ancestors, like the Neanderthals or cavemen might have eaten. A vegan diet, which we all kind of understand is just fully plant-based. And then the NA diet there is just a little joke, but we'll kind of go into that on the next slide here, how I would kind of recommend you how I'd recommend you guys structure the diet here. So basically, what you should be trying to eat is healthy proteins, poultry, fish, eggs, nuts with healthy fats. Coffee is usually considered to be healthy. Lots and lots and lots of vegetables. If you're having grains in your diets, whole grains, brown rice, that sort of thing, kind of cutting down on things like potatoes. Lots of water, and healthy oils like olive oil. And then what we're trying to avoid, simple sugars, salt, carbonated, sugar drinks or sugar-free drinks. The sugar-free drinks are just as bad, like Coke Zero or things like that. Unhealthy oils like Crisco, fast food, too much red meat, all the type of things you want to avoid, okay? There's no one-size-fits-all diet, but these are just kind of general guidelines. And really, when you look at your meal, every meal should be about 50% or more vegetable matter, or ideally vegetables, okay? So here's our bonus slide. Don't forget to exercise. 30 minutes, 5 times a week at least for everyone. This is super, super important. It's not exactly diet, but it is really important for overall health and nutrition, okay? So thank you very much for having me. I will be available for any questions, and look forward to the rest of the talks. Bye-bye.